Okay, I'd like to call to order the April 17th, 2025 Traffic Safety, Bikeways, and Pedestrian Committee. First, so we have bumps our normal first thing is the annual volunteer recognition. Lenora Blake will be bringing up something for our recognition and the recognition of other volunteers.
I can hardly hear you, I'm sorry.
Oh. I'll try and speak louder.
Okay. Do I have to turn this on?
Yeah.
My name is Lenora Blake, and I'm on the Volunteer Coordinating Committee for the City Council. And this is recognition months for the month of April. So we're here to recognize your service to Keizer, and we appreciate that. So now I'm going to read the proclamation. Whereas a basic ingredient in the foundation of the city of Keizer is volunteerism, upon incorporation in 1982, the motto was adopted: pride, spirit, and volunteerism. Almost every facet of this community is supported by volunteerism, and whereas many citizens of this community contribute to the well-being of fellow residents and the welfare of all of our citizens by giving tirelessly of their time and energy. And whereas many volunteers assist the city of Keizer in performing a multitude of duties, often providing services that may be reduced or non-existent. Many of the volunteers served in the advisory role to this city council on our boards, commissions, and task force. And whereas it is ever more evident that our city's greatest resource is the people who are dedicated to the betterment of our community. And whereas the city of Keizer values each and every one of the members of the many volunteers and wishes to extend our deepest appreciation to all. Now, therefore, I, Kathy Clark, Mayor of the City of Keizer, proclaim the month of April as Volunteer Recognition Month. So I have a certificate and a pin for all of you.
Cool. Yeah. I got one of those.
Thank you.
Ooh, a certificate.
Did you want green? It's in there somewhere. Never seen the other side of it. Never bothered flipping it over.
There's Matt. Here's his.
Suitable for framing, right? Put on
Yeah.
a suit or on my jersey.
It was on my jacket.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have one that just like
They usually put an extra E in there?
Yeah. I mean, I think you're getting
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they screw up this.
really.
Yeah, like they go EA.
That's my son's name, so like, yeah.
Oh, you do? Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you for your volunteer service
Yeah.
and all.
One of the members just thanked you for your volunteer service.
Thank you so much.
Good job.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that. So we will move to the next item, which is the approval of the March 2025 minutes. Do we have a motion to
I
approve?
move that the Traffic Safety Bikeways Pedestrian Committee minutes of March 20th be approved as written.
I have an alteration,
Okay.
sorry. But,
Oh. Yeah,
on page 3, it says that, GNEK, Greater Northeast Keizer, submitted it, but it was West Keizer neighborhood, which is written in words. So just need the, acronym changed, please.
yeah. I missed that one.
Can I modify my Motion?
Yes, please.
It wasn't seconded anyway.
The minutes of March 20th be approved with the aforementioned correction from Northeast Keizer to West Keizer Neighborhood Association.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of approving the March 20th, 25 minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any abstain or or against? Seeing none, it passes. Okay, next is the appearance of interested citizens. This is a time for people to discuss items that are not on the agenda. And we have several people who signed up, and I will call the first, Ron Raleigh. Raleigh? Sorry.
I don't know, you guys thought you got rid of me.
Huh.
Good evening, and I'll try to.
And if you could state your name and city of residence.
My name is Ron Raleigh, and I'm here for another request on Park Meadow. And what I'm looking for is hopefully a compromise. I know we did a speed study and how everything went out here. Lately, I've been driving down Dearborn, and you look at what has been done on Dearborn. I don't know if any of you have driven down there. You're probably well aware of it, but that orange placard that has been attached to those speed limit sign, that is a big time attention getter. I'd like to see us do something like that on Park Meadow. The only two speed limit signs, one is at the entrance coming off of River Road, the other is coming off of Wheatland. It's the only two speed limit signs on the street other than the school. And the school sign is in our property, and that's okay. If we could get one of those placards mounted, maybe at the greatest place would be center block of Park Meadow from the main intersection of Meadow Glen and Wheatland. If not, there's a mailbox just 2 doors down from us. Put it on the pole above that mailbox so that it can be viewed from both directions. So that, if nothing else, it's an attention getter. Like I said, I was totally impressed with what I saw Dearborn, because I've driven down it before. I had noticed it being on there, and people didn't slow down. They didn't, bother to adhere to the speed limit sign. And I think that's kind of a compromise from what I had originally, a couple of us had originally requested. I'd certainly like to see serious consideration to do that. I don't think the cost would be all that extravagant. It's, from what I'm seeing, it's a big bracket that mounts the sign right straight to the existing pole. There's no need for power or anything like that. So I think it'd be a friendly reminder for folks that don't seem to cooperate with it. Questions?
Yeah, I have a quick question. If you say 2 houses down from you with the mailbox, so you would request one there and then one on the other side of the street facing the other way for traffic going the opposite direction? Or?
Actually, I think you could put it on, I'm not sure how the laws read, but you could put the same sign on on the same pole facing, and people will say, and I've already thought about this, say, well, the traffic coming this way, they're not going to see that. Anybody driving down any of those streets, especially a residential street, needs to be looking in all directions. I mean, you don't know what direction the kid's going to come from or whatever.
Yeah. No, I understand that, and
Yeah.
I just was curious if we're looking in one spot, was there a spot you looked across the street? But
No,
yeah, in the law for doing the double mounting, I'm not sure on that. It is, when you're entering neighborhoods, it does only need to be posted once entering a neighborhood. You have a huge neighborhood from either direction, and there's nothing that states it needs to be throughout the neighborhood. However, we have had requests to install one in different places, so I'll take a look at it.
Yeah, I think that, and that's kind of why I was here. I was hoping to reach a compromise on it and help keep the cost down, but, be as a reminder. And again, I was affected a lot by what I've seen on Dearborn. It just seems to be really a good change.
Do you think if we did the one coming in off of River Road and the one coming in off Wheatland Road, and put the orange placards on that would suffice?
I actually do not think so. The
Okay.
reason being, when you're coming in off of River Road, people are pulling out in front of you when they're coming off of,
O'Neill.
Yeah. It's got so much going on right there that putting up that sign may even serve as a distraction. I've locked up my brakes several times, and one of my habits is if I'm coming southbound on River Road and I'm turning onto Park Meadow, the instant I enter that turn, my blinker goes off because people coming off thinking, whoops, he's turning right, and you're not. So, yeah, I really don't think that it might help, but I think it would be better down the other way.
Gotcha, so 2 houses west of you.
Yeah, 2 houses west of me, there's a mailbox there, there's several on the street.
Okay.
That would just be, I think simple, well, nothing is simple, but I think it would be beneficial to do.
Hirsch, did you have a comment? Did you have a comment, Hirsch?
No, Mike and I had informally talked about those when we were doing helmets, and it's interesting that somebody else picked up on that too, so.
Yeah, I was thoroughly impressed.
And the one on Dearborn, they're not reflective, right? I wonder if we could get,
But they're the correct color. Bright orange.
they're not, yeah.
Mike, I honestly don't know. I'll have to drive at night and look. We got those from the county and put 2 on either side, on the little brackets. So I would think they are. That was quite a few years ago now, something the chief
Yeah,
asked for Dearborn.
I can't remember if I've driven past them at night to see them.
Well, ride by it on your bike. and-
Yeah. Okay, well, so any idea what the cost of a new sign?
No, I'll just look back at my records. It's not astronomical by any means, so I'll look at the location and whatnot and see how that
Appreciate
looks,
it.
and I'll come back here and,
Yeah, I live at 1099,
Yeah.
feel free to stop by and
Okay.
knock on the door, have a coffee or a beverage or whatever.
I'll say hello.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
All right.
And thank you
Thank you,
for,
Mike.
thinking. Oh, Dave, did you?
No, that's okay.
Oh, okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, next up, Jesse and Danita White. And again, if you could state your name and city of residence?
My name's Donita White. I am in Keizer. I didn't know I was signing up to talk, sorry.
Oh, well, if you didn't have anything to say, then,
Well,
or if you
I do, only because we were working out front of our yard the other day, and I believe Matt came by and was talking about that there was going to be a discussion here. And we live on Verda, and I have not been to one of these, so I'm sure, I just assume people have talked about Verda Lane. It's kind of a busy place. It's kind of a lot of traffic. I've been passed on Verda, where somebody has gone around me to get past me on Verda. I don't know if you guys are planning to do anything to make it a little less hectic through there. I don't know if you guys are planning on, like this fellow was just talking about, we have one sign coming, from Shamawa onto Verda saying it's 25, and then we have one from Lock Haven onto Verda saying it's 25. We got another road that even comes in there that I don't know if they just don't realize that's the speed limit. We got a lot of neighbors that are putting their own little signs up, kind of reminding people it's 25. So, like I said, I assume you guys have already heard about Verda and you already have had some discussions about what goes on there, but if there's anything we can do to kind of slow the traffic down there. Once in a while, we have somebody there that puts one of the speed limit signs that flashes and tells you how fast you're going, and sometimes that seems like it reminds people that that's what the speed limit, and they slow down. It's either that or they see a police officer and then they slow way down. But, so that is my concern,
Yeah, and we have talked quite at length about Verda. Matt, you wanted to?
Sure. First of all, thank you for coming out. There's a lot of things you could be doing on Thursday nights. I know there is for me. So, but we have talked about this a little bit, and we have done a speed study with the help of the police twice, actually. We've determined that there is a high volume of traffic there, and the committee is reviewing what we should do next. But the fact that you're here tonight and you're sharing with us that you don't feel safe, I appreciate that, because we all live on that street. And in my opinion, since it's been repaved and the apartments have gone in on the other side, it's just become a speedway.
Right.
So we understand, and we're trying to figure out the right thing to do. By coming here tonight, you kind of validated that there is a problem, and there still is a problem that we need to address, so.
Thank you. Are we asking for suggestions? I mean, will there be something that comes out eventually that says, you know, neighbors, do you have any ideas what could happen, or?
Well, we definitely encourage neighbors to come in with ideas, like we just heard. We've talked about different solutions. In addition to putting a speed limit sign up, you know, you've got the engineering of the road, which does encourage people to go quick. So there would be an engineering aspect. There's the education through Officer Powell and the speed reader sign and just his mere presence. I've suggested in the past too, if you can get more people to park their vehicles on the street, if they park one, that narrows down the road and creates that visual narrowing. But, you know, there will always be people who feel it doesn't matter what the sign says, what the road says, they're gonna drive fast. But it's trying to get 95% of the people to abide.
Yeah, and you know, I know during like the school buses and stuff, there is a school bus that stops basically right across the street from our house. You know, so I don't know if that makes a difference as far as how, you know, how important it is for people to slow down there, you know. We talked about speed bumps, but I've heard that that's not likely, mainly because it is a pass-through for our emergency vehicles and stuff. So I get that, but have we thought maybe about stop signs at that little T intersection there where, because that's where the school bus stops as well, is right at that.
I was looking the other night at suggestions and things that we've brought up. There are about 15 to 20 things you can do along Verda that would basically slow people down. And so, yeah, we could ask for suggestions, but I really in the last couple of years haven't heard anything new. I have seen in the write-ups on the street art is the newest thing that's come up that might slow things down if you happen to have a bunch of kids. And I was checking with Matt to make sure that the post office delivers on what, the east side? West side? East side of the road?
So everybody has to,
I was gonna.
everybody has to cross the road to get their mail.
Yeah,
including
okay.
me.
But, yeah, but they could deliver on both sides. But I looked it up last night with the post office, what it takes to get them to change their route. And all the people that would do that have been laid off.
Well, there you go.
So you're not, with the new administration, we're not gonna get, in fact, right now, I guess yesterday, they were looking at selling the post office to private enterprises.
Well, it's pretty expensive to send anything through the postal service.
Yeah.
You know,
I think your point is made,
Yeah.
you know, in the fact that, you know, I came home and I was talking to Dawn, I think I was just like days out of the army, and the wife said, why don't you get the mail? And it was by 8 o'clock. I got the mail. I looked to see who sent us something, and I started walking across the street. And that, you know, 24 years in the army, and almost all ended on Verda Lane. You know, all the, you know, so.
Hirsch?
I know that this is not a solution, but the gentleman that came here and talked about the signs, that might be a suggestion because of putting him on the, both of the 25 mile an hour. I know on Dearborn, I have to admit, it catches your eye because they're, well, of course, I'm an Oregon Stater. I'm going to look at orange, but you may not want that. But I think it has some merit for at least catching the eye, especially that group coming off the traffic circle.
Right.
Yeah. Now, one thing I would say about, and I'm not shutting down the sign, but the geometry of Dearborn and how the houses are all closer to the street, you've got more trees, narrower lane. I think that has an effect too. So speaking of expensive, David, there are plenty of solutions out there. It's just the cost. Now, I'm sure Matt's talked to you about the neighborhood traffic management plan.
No.
Oh, you haven't?
I didn't want to put her to sleep.
Okay. Well, so basically what it is where you get a sufficient number of residents on a street to apply through the program. There'll be the speed study, the traffic volume, which we've done. So we've got some of that data already. And that kind of creates an energy on the street of getting more things done. And maybe you can get that energy to get more people to show up here or at council. And then that trickles down to budget committee when there's money eventually to do something.
Yeah, well, I'll definitely come back, so, I did talk to one of our neighbors, and they had no idea about this. I wasn't aware we had these meetings, so.
Well, get the word out for us, please.
Sure. Is it on a specific day of the month, is it?
It's always the third Thursday at 6 o'clock.
Got
And,
it.
But you could check, every once in a while we cancel.
yeah, usually it's the summertime
every 2
or
years.
Christmas time that we'll cancel, but
Okay, sounds good.
yeah.
So, thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, so that leaves Rob Smith.
Good evening, panel. My name's Rob Smith. I've lived on Verta Lane for 20 years.
Yep. Thanks for coming, Rob.
How you doing? I know
Is your
that
mic on?
you're- What's that?
Is the
My
mic
on?
on?
I know, check 1, 2.
It should have a red light on.
Yeah, it's on.
Okay.
So I know for like the last 20 years, I've tried to get the police department to issue tickets for the bike lane that's always parked in there. So you really can't park on both sides of Verta and clod it like you want to without actually parking in a bike lane, but tickets aren't issued there. If we could do maybe a spray painted simulated speed bump, or how about just put the speed limit sign painted as you drive over it so that people see it. You're not gonna slow them down unless the cops ticket them, or you put a speed table up there. I mean, there's two things you can do, but you can't always put a speed limit painted on the ground there to help warn people. But other than that, I mean, I do neighborhood watch there every night, and you're not gonna slow them down. They come through there 80 miles an hour. Some of them come off Calamia, turn left, and it's like there's no speed limit sign when they're coming off that road except for that little one that Robert put up. And yeah, they're going probably 45 at least in 3 houses when they come off there.
So I was thinking about the same thing about the speed limit painted on the road. Obviously, there's the cost and working with, I think it's probably going to be tied in with what we were talking about with the green paint, Mike, right? But there's also like you can do zigzag lines, chevrons, and there's a lot of paint things you can do to a street. It just becomes, how do you budget it in? And you want to speak to that at all?
Well, yeah, how you budget it in, and then it becomes a maintenance, an ongoing maintenance issue. I mean, it wears off pretty quickly, just like our stop bars that get painted, year round. And so it's just, it's an ongoing, maintenance issue. But that's the way it is with a lot of things, so, we haven't done something like that in Keizer before, painted it.
How about we just cut out the asphalt, I'll do it in concrete.
No.
Speed limit, that way we'll get them down.
Never thought of that one.
I don't know.
I
Dave?
suppose I could ask Matt, I'm curious, just your opinion, and you're not being held to it, but would the people in that area, how much do you think they'd be, if the city won't do something because of money, which could happen, or may not, they may do it, but if they didn't, do you think the people along Verta would chip in to do a couple inexpensive items?
I have everybody's signature from Lock Haven all the way to Shamala that would be here. Everybody said they would come here. Everybody said
Yeah.
they would sign a piece of paper for me. Everybody on that street. There's only one person that said they wouldn't because they weren't home.
I appreciate that, but I just was curious, we have the improvement process, local improvement, what is it? LIDs. That you could tax yourselves, just for, say, everybody on both sides of Verda, to put in something, but it could be anywhere from, you know, $500 to 10,000, so you would decide that. But just curious, are the people that concerned that they'd pay?
I'm sure they would.
Okay,
I don't want to pay anymore, but I would. If I could slow it
I
down,
wouldn't
I would
either, I
gladly
know
pay.
that. I'm not saying would they like to, I'm just saying,
Right.
would they,
Yeah,
if they can't
I'm
get
sure,
satisfaction?
I'm sure most of us would.
Okay.
If it would slow it, I mean, it's gonna protect the because when there's somebody parked in that bike lane, and I have tons of pictures on my phone, where the kid has to go out 3 feet into the traffic, so imagine a car hitting him at 45, 50 miles an hour. He has to go on the road because they don't get ticketed parking in the bike lane, and that kid's gonna get killed. And what I've been told at other meetings that I've been going to with the city of Salem and stuff is that until a child is killed, they're not gonna enforce that law. We're the only city in Portland, in Oregon that does not enforce the bike lane tickets. Did you know that? Keizer is the only one. Salem, they'll tow that car in a second if somebody parks in the bike lanes. Keizer, they tell me they got 72 hours to keep their car parked there. They have never issued a ticket in that bike lane. I've lived here 20 years, I've never seen one.
I was checking with Hirsch, my recall of Verda was not a bike lane. There is one, what is it, about a block long from the traffic circle north, and that's about it. Really, the street wasn't ever designed for bike lanes. There may be a white fog line out there, but there's no bike lane. I
So
mean,
if there's a bike spray painted in that line, then it's a bike lane, isn't it?
just the first block.
Right, so that first block is where they park their
Okay,
cars in. and
I'm not
there's-
disagreeing with you, I'm just
Right,
saying,
and
but
the line is the 6-inch or 8-inch minimum. I've checked all the requirements. Everything is there. You guys finally put the bike there, but everybody still parks there. It doesn't matter.
okay, okay. Code
He was
enforcement.
just getting clarification to where he was talking about. I was making sure everybody was on the same page.
Yeah.
Location.
I
So-
have a bucket of that high-vis sparkly stuff they put on the white paint. When they put the paint down there, I make sure that that sparkly stuff is in there so that everybody sees it. I even sweep up some of the extra that blows everywhere. So I have some more to put down on the paint. So I'll help with the painting on the speed limit if you want. I have all the sparkly stuff.
Rob, thanks for coming in, and I think you pointed out a couple important options that we weren't even thinking about. So, the paint on the street is one. The other one you mentioned was speed tables, and there's a couple nice speed tables over by the
Cummings?
middle school. Speed tables are different than speed bumps.
They are.
And emergency services are a little more, they like them better than speed bumps, I'll just put it like that. So that could be an option as well. So between you and the other person from Verda that we have, we've got some things to think about, so, thanks.
I'll get the next meeting packed, don't worry. I'll get everybody here.
David.
Thanks, Rob.
All right, thank you.
Rob, just 1 second. I just wanted to make sure I understood. I really heard two issues. One was speeding in general along Verda, and the second was people parking in the bike lane. Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, and,
You want to see pictures by chance of kids having to get around cars?
well, I just 2 nights ago, I had to go around a car in that bike lane, so I know exactly
You
what
were
you.
riding your bike?
I was riding my bike.
Okay,
so,
okay.
yeah.
I won't show you the pictures of the kids. I mean, we're adults, we're gonna take that hit and make sure we roll and stuff, but kids are on the phone, they're not paying attention, but they get hit,
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah. And yeah, next meeting, have more people come.
I'll pack it up.
That's what I thought.
Okay, that's it for the interested citizens, unless we have anyone else who didn't sign up. Okay, seeing none. We could move on to the project spreadsheet review. And before I jump into that, I wanted to ask, did anyone look at the spreadsheet that I made yet?
This one?
No, the one that's the one of all the green paint areas that you can add to if you want, although I think I might have captured every one of them. But if you haven't, I encourage you to take a look at it. Dawn, how can they take a look at that?
I emailed it to everyone,
Okay,
but I can send it again tomorrow.
okay. If you, so if you want to take a look at that, or scan down 1,000 emails, because I'm sure we've all got enough spam, take a look at it. And again, I try to be very, broad in what I thought, and I also included green boxes, so just take a look. All right, so moving on to the project spreadsheet. So, I can't remember if it was last meeting or the meeting before, we pared it down, so we weren't gonna go through the entire, spreadsheet. But, so we've got the, Lock Haven and River Road green paint for bike crossings, so I'll let Mike, you were mentioning something about some paperwork, and then who will do the paint?
Yeah, this afternoon, Hirsch sent both you and I a form to fill out for a budget request. And then I talked to Hirsch on the phone, and we made a couple of changes, and I sent it back to both of you to look at. And once you see those, and I don't know if you have any changes you want to make, but there were some things that were incorrect that I changed. So just, you can look at what you guys put and what I put. And then just make sure then that one of you or somebody from the committee needs to turn that into Tim by, the deadline was the 25th?
Yes.
Okay, so look through that, and of course, you can get back a hold of me if you have any questions or...
Yeah, I scanned it on my phone, but I thought I should probably look at this on a computer.
Yeah, I looked at it just before I left, yours and Bill's comments and the update. So tonight, I'll look at it and then send it to you to send to Tim, so Tim can have it maybe by Monday.
Yeah. I can drop it off.
And then the chair can go to the,
meeting on Monday.
well, the budget committee meeting will be, when does, it's in May.
Well, there's a city council meeting on Monday, right? So I can just drop it off to Tim then?
I guess you can.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah, it needs to go to him, but he's there. Yeah, he's there, but he probably would like it electronically.
oh,
Yeah.
Well, that's true.
that's true. Well, yeah. I can give it to him both. That way he's got it in hand and.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so that's great news. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. And Hirsch. The pedestrian flag pilot program.
I think we need to add to our spreadsheet here that West Keizer Association added, put in a application for Shamawa on the end of the sidewalk last week. I think it might want to put that on this as part of our monitoring.
Yeah. Mike?
Where is that application? And they need to show up at a meeting and turn it in to us first. So I just curious, I haven't seen it.
It got turned in last week, last month.
Last month.
It's even on our, that's the correction I made on our,
No, I didn't.
Don, do you have that?
There was something that Tammy Coons had turned in that had a bunch of different things that needed a lot of clarification and cleaned up before we looked at.
I think this is a different one. This is the one that
On Norm,
Tammy Sullivan or whatever presented last meeting here.
that would be Shamawa near Walsh Way. So there's one, but then I think Brenda was mentioning a
Yeah, there
second
was
one.
another one, and we turned it in. Well, we tried to turn it in 2 months ago, but we had to make a correction on location. And
I
then we,
have 2 copies of it. I can give you one of my copies.
If there's one that just states one location, that would be Keizer Road and Norrin at the crosswalk.
This
At
is
Kennedy School, that would be it.
15th and Shamawa.
but we,
Yeah, that one we approved. I signed that
Okay,
one.
right.
And
Well-
that's it. So I just say it needs to go on the spreadsheet as monitoring.
So
I
you're
need an
saying the one
application.
that has been approved needs to be on the spreadsheet, the
Yeah.
15th in Shamawa.
Gotcha.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But was there another one, just so I'm not confused?
No, I only have one
Okay.
that's been approved.
Yeah.
Shouldn't it be more
Is there another?
Yeah.
Shamawa and McClure? Because it's,
Kind of Shamawa on the end of the sidewalk, so I don't know what you want to call that.
yeah, because it's closer, not McClure, Walsh Way. It's closer
Well,
to
as-
there.
As a monitoring thing, do we have to be super specific?
Isn't it a pilot project?
It
Yeah.
is.
Yes. So as a monitoring for the pilot project, can we can we just put West Keizer neighborhood, Chamawa and the nearest intersection
In the park.
in the park or something?
Oh, perfect, that'd work.
Yeah.
And I just want to show you the nice QR code that we got to go on our flag holder. So, when people go on this, there's a small explanation of the pilot program and then giving them opportunity to give us feedback.
Is that a true quote? Or is that?
Yes.
I mean, not
It
that
is,
it's true,
I
is it a
just
real
don't know
quote?
who
Okay.
we're quoting, but yes.
Okay. Yep. All right, thank you. And then the last thing, which is kind of tearing off to what we've heard already, is speeding in residential areas and that we're monitoring. Ursh, did you want to talk anything about the sign? Or you were talking about when we talked about, one of the things is, changing the speed limits, and then, I don't know if that's something we want to talk about now, or?
I don't think it's on the project list per se, but
Yeah.
that's something that Bill was given direction from, city council to look at that kind of thing. So,
Okay, okay.
to look at, can we change, speed to 20?
Speed limits.
In residential
And
streets.
Bill's looking at that and the cost.
My paraphrasing, we made a recommendation that all neighborhood speed limits in the city of Keizer be reduced from 25 to 20.
Right, and
So
the,
it came from you?
Yes.
yeah, and the direction was that we need to do an engineering study.
Well,
Well, we had to
for
go
ODOT.
from us to the city council to the state of Oregon. So.
Right, because, yeah, so, that's my tie-in with the spreadsheet.
So, question,
Yes,
are there, besides Verda, is Verda a collector? What's Verda classified as?
Which part of Verda?
Yeah.
Between Lock Haven and Shimava?
Because it's,
It's not a collector.
No, it's not a collector.
No, it's just a neighborhood street.
Is it really?
Yeah, because before we put the traffic circle in, nobody went there.
No, that's not true.
Well, not as much as now.
I can assure you that's not
Okay.
But I mean, the speakers tonight were right. There's so much traffic on that road that I thought it was a collector.
I mean, even the geometry of it looks like a collector.
It
Doesn't
is.
it though?
Yeah,
It
the only
is
thing it
one of
doesn't
the-
have the line in
Yeah,
between.
it's one of the few streets that runs that far north-south in Keizer. So, if you're trying to get from one side of
Yes,
Keizer to the
yes.
other, that's when people will take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My personal experience on Verda in that stretch is that it is not designed for high traffic volumes. So it has no center line. If there are people on both sides of parked on both sides of the road and you encounter somebody coming the other direction, you really have to slow, either really slow to be safely passing, or you have to be able to duck into an open parking area. It's getting increased traffic, and it's getting, it's certainly traffic volumes. And my own personal feeling is that in terms of the city and traffic responsibility to the people who live on that street, it is very much a residential street. And anyway, it needs to be addressed.
And to be clear, when I was talking about geometry, I meant that it's wide, nearly straight. I mean, there's a couple of curves in it, and it's a busy street on both ends, and especially with the apartments now, it's just another way for people to avoid River Road, so. Okay, well, did anyone else have anything to speak about the speeding in residential areas? I think it's,
I have one more question.
yeah.
So, is it true we don't ticket in bike lanes? It's not,
That is not a correct statement.
okay. What's the correct statement?
Now, keep in mind, when he's comparing it to Salem has designated people for parking enforcement. Keizer does not. As far as traffic and parking and crashes and hit and runs, that's me. There's only so many places I can be, and if I don't see it or get called to it, I can't enforce it.
Sure.
when I've been up on Verda, the bike lane that he's referring to is 150 yards long, and then it just stops. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no bike, that's why I didn't think there was one.
Yeah.
So why is that designated a bike lane?
Because you,
It's,
because you put in the traffic circle.
No.
no, it was before that.
Yeah, it was what?
Yeah, it was put in a long time
Oh,
before.
sorry.
I really can't tell you why, but it was put in a long time ago.
Just the 150 feet?
Yeah,
And it doesn't even go all the way to the intersection. It stops like
Sure,
one or
yeah,
two
sure,
houses
yeah.
short of it.
I'll say this, it's a problem for bicyclists, and I've seen them because.
They think there's more lane.
Right, they think there's more lane, and then they have to navigate the traffic circle, and the law says if you feel you're proficient enough to go through the traffic circle, and correct me if I'm wrong here, you don't have to get off your bike.
Correct, yeah.
Well,
With the
that's
car.
up to you, right? And now you're navigating the cars going around the circle, but if you want to get off your bike, you go down and to the crosswalk, which is about 8 to 10 feet lower at the crosswalk, and help me out, Officer Powell here, down there. And so traffic,
On Shamawa.
on Chamawa, right?
Towards the bridge.
What I'm saying is it's harder to be seen as you're crossing if the cars are up above you.
Yeah.
And so, so to your point, it's not a conducive bike.
it's non-functional.
Yeah.
It starts nowhere and goes nowhere.
We have a special guest to speak.
So I do have a question with that whole bike
Oh,
lane.
could you just say your name too?
Oh, Rachel Navarro. So I brought up the issue with the whole parking on the bike lane. I do live on Alder, about parking on the bike lane for, during school hours. And so I've been coming to address that issue as well. And so we do have that problem happening all the time, that cars do park on the bike lane. And so just recently, as of today, there was a cop that did come and just ask the cops, or ask all the cars to move
On motorcycle.
on a motorcycle.
That's me.
But that was just barely today.
But what did you do? Ticketed?
No,
No.
they were occupied vehicles, so they're stopped, not parked. He was referring to literally parked unoccupied vehicles in the bike lane. These were not in the bike lane, they were illegally parked or stopped. One of them was in that little, maybe a car length section of between Alder and Beebe.
That says
the
no
park?
parking.
And so it was stopped there. And the other two, well, there was actually a total of 5. 2 of them were in on Arnold, where it's painted with a yellow, for fire lane. They were stopped there, occupied. I asked them to move, they moved. And then the other 2 were on the north side of the road, opposite the park, in between 2, no parking signs, which again, there's a gray area between parked and just stopped and occupied. And everybody moved once I went through and contacted them.
When you contacted them, did you just say you have to move, or was there any like, hey, if you notice there's a no parking sign there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't just say, hey, you need to move. I had to give them a reasoning why they can't be there.
Right, I guess, yeah, I just want to make sure.
Unfortunately, if tomorrow, it'll be 5 different parents.
Right.
And it's literally, that's been going on for, I think, you would agree, years.
Yes, correct. Years.
We may have transitioned off of the bike lane on Verda, which is potentially good. But I think we do need to address the Alder issue here. My memory was that last time the principal at the middle school in particular was non-responsive for a meeting, and that we had asked both city council members and other folks to help facilitate getting a meeting. Has something happened?
No, and we've already gone to the neighborhood association, gone through them already, and they're still trying to get a meeting with them as well.
It was one school principal, right? You've talked to one and one wasn't?
So, yes, one is, the elementary is on board with it, and they've already issued a bulletin in their newsletter. It's the middle school that has not, and it's during more middle school hours that this is happening. So it's 4 o'clock than the 2:30-ish
Right.
hour.
Right.
But it's like, I mean, you don't have to go out there every day at 4 o'clock to be like, hey, move your car, you know.
I'll bet it would be every day, 5 days a week at 4
Yeah,
o'clock.
yeah.
It would be different parents, but I don't, yeah.
But if an ambulance has to go there, because we've met with Ryan too, you know, if a fire truck or an ambulance has to go out there, they won't be able to fit, you know, at all to get through there, so.
And so, to be clear, has the counselor, Janie Stars, said she was going to see about city staff talking to?
To the principal?
I thought so,
She was
yeah.
going to.
Yeah, and I don't know, so our normal council liaison, Janie Star, who was here last time you were here, she mentioned that she was, after we started talking about it and how you were getting no traction, she said she was going to reach out to him.
To the principal?
That's, yeah.
At which school?
Weddell.
Claggett. Claggett.
Sorry.
Claggett.
Yeah, but I guess you haven't heard.
I haven't seen anything in their bulletin because I have a child there, so I have not seen anything.
Well, I'm just curious if they've kind of brushed her off too, or
I have no idea. I haven't seen anything from her.
hers.
Based on experience from Lamb Elementary with Marion County over and their parking issue, and the solution or reduction has to come through the school. And you've already said, you know, Weddell is on board. I think you're going to have to go above the principal. This is almost.
School board?
Yes.
Well, or director of secondary ed, I think he's in charge. The director of secondary ed should be in charge of the middle school and the high school. And he's the principal's boss. You don't need, I would try that first rather than, do we have a superintendent?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I would do it, maybe if you have a representative from the neighborhood association.
I'll have Colleen do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I would tell you, I think Counselor Starr would be more effective at that. I think that there's a chance that she would be able to get more action than you.
Oh, thank you. Then you might be able to, or maybe you can go with her. I will carry this to her. Her husband had a medical issue, and so she's caring for her husband this evening. But she'll be here next month. But in the meantime, I'll reach out to her and let her know that you came. And maybe you could give Dawn your phone number, and I could give it to Counselor Starr and have her connect with you, Rachel. Would that be all right? Okay. Let's try to go that way, maybe the two of you together.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for,
Thank you.
yeah. Okay, well,
Where are we?
we are moving on to the next item on our agenda. And that would be new and other business. I will, yes, David, did you?
Just for some new business, I have an idea. I don't know how to express this, because I was sitting here thinking, the last 4 weeks, last couple months, a lot of speeding issues. And we don't have a process or even thoughtful organization of what we're doing with these people. We know there's a bunch of traffic calming devices. It seems like it's kind of tossed in our lap to either make a recommendation to the city council or not. And I'd like to have it, I don't need to streamline it, but we need to be able to talk to these people and give them an answer. Any of the people that came up tonight, what we can do. And so I'm gonna go over what I think we should be doing, but I don't know how to formalize it, so somebody else will have to chip that in. When they come to us, we can decide that it's so obviously a problem, Verda, between Chamel and the Lock Haven, that we are going to make a recommendation to the city council to do something. And we're going to ask maybe the police department to do something, and they can say, yeah, we can, no, we can't. And then what? If they don't like what we do, they need to know that they have the option of going directly to the city council. At least that's my thought, is that, okay, they could go to Public Works, but they could also formally go to the city council and make their complaint. And the city council can do whatever the city council does. Now, if we decide to do something, we need to decide, we make a recommendation to the city council. We probably, if we can, maybe cost it out, or with the help of Mike and Public Works, cost it out to get an idea, and maybe it's cost prohibitive. We don't have the money this year, we're gonna look at it again next year. But we could send the person an email and said, here's what we decided. Now, we're probably not going to decide on which traffic calming device, whether it's orange placards, speed bumps, speed tables, street art, closing a street. I mean, it'd be an extreme, but those are recommendations we can make. And so I was looking them up, and there's 15 to about 20 pretty clear-cut traffic calming things you could do. And the costs range from about $500, well, say $1,000 on up to tens of thousands of dollars. And I didn't know it, but talk about you can buy a speed table. I don't know if it's rubber or styrofoam, but it was only about $800, and it's 18 feet long and 12 feet wide. And we could buy it and put it in front of your house. I mean, with permission from the city, of course.
So I think what you're saying is, how do we reach back to the people that have come here and give them some input on, is that what
Either
you're
we're
saying?
doing something or we're not.
Well, so as you're talking, I'm thinking, you know, we it's always a money issue, right? That's where it comes down to, right? Money and council approval to do something.
Council approval is what it comes.
Yeah. Could, and I don't know if I have to have somebody to approve the time of Mike's time for this, but could we come up with, say, 5 or 10 ideas or traffic calming devices, and have Public Works just give us a one pager that costs out each one, and knowing that, you know, with inflations and tariffs and everything can change things, but at least we have a general idea of, okay, if we wanted to put in a speed table, a permanent one.
Or whatever.
But that way,
Whatever it is, yeah.
when someone comes to us and says, hey, we want something, we're like, okay, well, we have a list of things that are possible solutions. These are gonna be the costs of them. How do we get something that's cost effective, satisfies their need at the moment, and then we can say, okay, we wanna ask the city council to put in.
To the budget.
Yeah.
Or ask Public Works if you have the slush fund, whatever you call it.
Maybe not that.
Well,
Excuse me, might have some extra money left over,
Discretionary fund.
whatever,
pocket
something.
change.
I know there's a nice term for it. But the other thing is, when the city council turns them down, or we turn them down, or we say we can't do it because we don't have any money, they have the right to form, improvement districts.
Yeah.
It's in the plan.
And if they have a rough cost of some of the things that are available, I'm sure they're probably gonna go down to the lower price side. And we could show them, here's some things you could do. At that point in time, it's the neighborhood or the neighborhood association. And part of it is they need to look at all of them, because they don't know all of them. I mean, people come up and say, the first thing they come up with is a speed bump, then a speed table. And then you always want to mention, well, if we have the streets narrower, it'll slow people down. Or plant more trees, that'll slow people down.
Yeah.
Put in a radar thingamajiggy with the radar and the flashing speed. That seems, but there's all these things that they could choose from on what they're willing to pay.
Yeah, well, let's hear what Mike.
Mike, what do you think of that?
No, and I understand the frustration, but we have in place is a neighborhood traffic management program,
Yes.
and that's a program that was put together to follow those steps to lead to
Yeah,
getting to a
that's
solution.
right.
So,
Okay, well.
I mean, I
blend
get
that
what
in
you're
with
saying,
what I
research
see.
some costs, things, but even for the gentleman that was here earlier, we've done that study twice, and it came up that there, you know, it didn't hit the marker for the volume, and it didn't hit it for the speed either, but eventually we'll do it again, and I'm not sure what we should have told him.
Well,
I mean, we can, sorry,
You're right.
it was in the
Forget about that one
percentile.
because we haven't used it much.
But even though it doesn't meet that criteria, Mike, I mean, we could do some things like, I think it is effective when you see a great big giant speed limit painted on the road that you're driving over as you're driving 45 miles an hour. I think that's effective. I don't know what the cost of that would be, but it would be really helpful for this committee to know, here's all these options. Some of these options may be available to you and some of them may not, but here they all are laid out so that when someone comes and talks with them, they would be able to say, here's from A to Z, and here's the cost of these items. Then this committee determine what they feel would be the best alternative for whichever street we're talking about, then come to city council. I can assure you, if you hand city council, if you hand 7 people 15 options, we'll all be dead before a decision is made. You need to make a citizens advisory committee recommendation that says, we've looked at all these 15 options and we think this one or this one. This one costs this one costs that. One of these options should work to solve this problem. And then, you're right, let city council make a decision to move forward on it.
Okay, so I guess because we haven't used the traffic management thing, I keep forgetting about it.
Well,
So maybe it would do most of these things I mentioned.
well, let me have Brenda.
So because I was thinking that you were thinking about that, I thought maybe you were saying when we have a road such as Verda that doesn't currently meet the criteria, what could the neighborhood association and citizens groups do? Because I'm not sure, so I'm kind of asking. The neighborhood traffic management program allows the associations to come together and say there's a problem that gets verified by data. And then when we present it to the city knows that this is a problem they can address with funding. What if it doesn't meet that, but the residents are willing to do something to fund? Is that gonna be outside of the neighborhood traffic management program or
Be
like?
after it,
So like if they don't qualify for it, this is an alternative.
yeah.
Okay, if that's what you're talking about, I got it.
Okay.
Well, that is a great question.
Would it help if we had, there was a couple, I was looking on the internet, 2 or 3 sites, but we could print it out, that are pretty detailed in all of the, or a bunch of the traffic, the speed mitigating things you could do. They're not costed out, they got nice pictures anyways.
Well, I mean,
Would that help if we do that? Because I don't want to, the first thing that comes to my mind isn't
That's right here.
necessarily the best solution. Let's just
I've
get
got
on
a
with
book.
what I got. You got 2 books,
yeah.
traffic.
well, to what you were saying, I'm curious, if the neighborhood traffic management process comes out, city says, or Public Works says it doesn't meet the criteria, now the local jurisdiction, or not jurisdiction, local residents want to do something, for an LID, I don't know the process. Is that something where they say we want to do it, we've got the money for it?
A percentage of the impacted, and I'm going from memory, Michael, a percentage of the impacted area has to agree to tax themselves.
Okay.
So it starts with neighbors going door to door and saying, here's what we want to do. We don't meet the criteria for the city to pay for it. If we want to take this option and make this happen, it's going to cost you this much. And it has to be, I can't remember, it's a high percentage of the,
75.
I wondered if it was 75. Okay, so 75% of the people say, yeah, we want to pay for that. Then the other 25 are going to be obligated to do so.
Right.
So then they come to the city, they fill out the paperwork, and an LID is formed, and the money starts to being collected. It's just like the street lights, LID, same exact
Right.
situation.
So I wonder though, there would have to be, if you're gonna do something to the street itself, there's gotta be an engineering study.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. I mean, painting a,
Mike, I'm going to, Mike, if I wanted to go out and paint a design in the middle of the street near my house, do I need an engineer to come out and talk about what?
No, I wouldn't say you need an engineer to paint something. I was gonna tell you, you couldn't just walk out there and do that.
I know, I
Dave.
mean, if, I know I need your permission, but, I'm just saying is that,
I think it would be evaluated and be talked about here, and then we would make a decision, and then that would go to you'd make a recommendation, which would go to the council, and then council would approach it with, oh, that's a good idea,
Sound
or
like it,
you know
yeah.
what? Whatever the
Yeah.
answer is.
okay.
But I guess I was thinking more than just paint. I'm thinking if you want to do like either a permanent or a rubber speed bump table, that's got to have an engineering study. And then who's on the hook for that? Is that still the LID that would pay for this
Yeah.
study themselves too?
Yes. But does it have to have an engineer study to get it?
That's a good question.
I don't know that it
I mean, I
does.
feel like we got to do it at public.
Yeah, uncharted roads, like for Cummings, when we did that one, our engineers, you know, they did the design for that, and then it went out to bid, and then it was constructed and put in, so that was the steps for that. You know, I'd assume it'd be along the same lines if, you know, residents
that's
came up with
probably
their own
true.
money, but we would also, as a city, evaluate that and have some say in just,
Right,
you know, just because you came up with the money,
right.
doesn't mean it's going there.
Okay.
But I like your idea about coming up with different ideas, the painting and the different things and getting a cost. I can think of some ideas and I can get numbers on those, so we do have something to say if you do, you know.
Michael, I think what would be really effective for you as well is working with Mike on Public Works and get a handout, like a poster. Here's all of the different types of ways in which we can calm traffic and have them costed out. And so when someone comes up, you can say, here's all of the ways, you know, share this with your neighbors, talk about it, come back to us, then you guys talk about it, make a decision, then take it to council. I do think a couple of them are exceedingly cost-effective and may not solve the problem, but will certainly contribute to solving the problem.
Right.
The orange signs, that's going to catch people's attention. And the reason we do serpentine sidewalks and the reason we plant trees, anything that creates visual interest slows folks down. And even orange signs work really well to people to catch their eye. And those things are pretty cost effective.
Yeah.
And I don't know, because paint, you know, I've been appalled at how much green paint costs. But I think that there are potential grants available for painting that, and I think that's effective. You know, is it gonna solve the problem? I don't think so. But it'll contribute to the solution.
Absolutely. First, you,
I just wanted to kind of mention from a risk management standpoint that the city has to be involved in any
Oh, for sure.
action. Because if somebody goes out, and I'll just pick on Matt on Verda and puts out spikes on there, and the city would be liable.
right.
So,
That's
yeah,
what,
yeah, we'd be sued. As being an old state risk manager,
I just want to go on record as I'm not going to do that.
I know you're not. I would just.
Get that in the notes.
Yes, don't put that in the minutes.
But you know, you do see all the time those little people that say
Yeah.
25 miles per hour.
Children present or something?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think they're coming to Mike to get permission. I think they're buying those online and sticking them in front of their house.
Yeah.
But if it's on their own property, or their own property line, then it's perfect. But once it goes into the public way, then there's, then there's issues.
Boy, do they catch your attention.
They do, they really do. And I've already seen one that has had graffiti on it. So,
Okay, well,
that's it for me, so, thank you.
so we're still on the new other business, but Mike, could you do that list for us for the next meeting? Of
No,
some,
let's wait.
No, you guys can come up with some ideas and give them
okay.
to me, and then I'll research it.
okay, so
Excuse me.
but
How's
we don't
that?
have to like tell someone to tell you to do it, right? We can.
Do you have an exhaustive, I mean, I have about 15 or 20 at home sitting on my, in a
How about this?
page.
I'll start a spreadsheet, share it with Dawn, and Dawn can share it with you all, and then we could. Spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And maybe some flow charts
I
too.
thought some notes on the back of some scratch paper
Yeah.
would work too.
But then we can have it, we'll have it for the next meeting, we could vote on the top 10.
Well, yeah, sure. Okay.
Are you suggesting that we get that to Mike and he can, like, budget it before the next meeting?
No, no.
I mean, finance it?
No. So by the next meeting, we'll have had everyone put their input on that spreadsheet. Dawn will print it out for us and we can all discuss it and we can vote on the top 10.
Okay.
And then we can hand it to Mike, who can then cost it out.
Oh, because I thought it was like cost, like, what if it's a really cheap one we don't vote on?
Well, I
We'll figure
mean,
it out.
we'll figure it out, yeah. Let's not put the cart, yeah, okay. So Hirsch, you would have been the first one for the new and other business. Oh, I guess no, we'll do committee member input. We'll start with you.
I'll be getting you the request and tonight, so we can send that into the Budget Committee. Northwest Keizer Neighborhood Association met last night, and the big traffic issue that kept coming up is the street racing on Lock Haven and Windsor Island Road. Everybody had seen it, heard it. Counselor Parsons and John Blake identified where they're spinning around and doing traffic circles in front of the driving range. And yeah. Yeah, but they're doing Lock Haven. Our new chair saw a car speeding on Lock Haven and was using the speed indicator that, testing it and seeing how fast. Everything is occurring on a nice evening at dusk.
Really?
Yes, and it's significant because we can hear it at our house, the wheels spinning and stuff.
Well, you can come to my house because I can hear it because I'm down by Park Meadow and Wheaton
Yeah,
Road.
so
I overlook the downhill.
So I wanted to bring that up because that's something John brought to this committee several months ago, and the neighborhood association has been kind of watching it, and the weather has to be decent, and it's pretty regular, and it's at dusk.
Not much fun in the rain.
And John is going to try to, there's one, he's already been able to spot one guy, it's a blue Mustang, that's pretty regular. And I spotted a gentleman that's in a crotch rocket motorcycle that's pretty regular. But we never got close enough to get license plates.
Did you report it at the time?
I did.
You did to
Yeah.
patrol?
Yeah.
Assume it's at dusk, so it's past my normal times.
I know but that's when it's happening. And
Unfortunately, I mean.
I know the staffing.
Yeah, so from 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock is probably the busiest time for all patrol calls. So it does make it a little hard to go out.
I know the staffing.
Yeah.
It's just, they must know your staffing because it seems to be pretty regular. But the weather is always nice. It's not a rainy or nasty night. And last night it was pretty good. We could hear it. And the one I heard was about 10:30. So one other thing is the Culture Club at Keizer Elementary, which was an event on April 3rd, they wanted a few helmets. So Mary Ann and I and one other person from the neighborhood association fitted helmets there. Wonderful event. It was all cultures there, and the teacher had kids on video from explaining their culture. Some of them were dressed in native stuff. We had everything from St. Patrick's to Tunisian culture there in food. There was food for everybody, but they were wanting some helmets for some of the kids, so we did. And we got about $71 worth of donations that I give to Tim.
All right.
That's it.
David, do you have any other input?
Not much. I had a couple people call me for helmets for low-income kids, or for kids, I guess, whatever they are. Anyway, so I fit a couple of kids, and I always meet down here at the police station, so
It's a good place to
right
meet.
in front. Anyway, well, I think that's safer for them too, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then the last call, the person never showed up. So,
All right. Matt, do you have any input?
No, not really. I just wanted to thank the committee and Officer Powell and Mike for their help on the Verda Lane issue. I mean, together we'll get it figured out, so thank you very much. Lori, I don't want to steal your thunder, but the Keizer Art Fair is coming up, which,
Steal away, baby.
yeah,
Steal away.
yes. You are the president of the Keizer Art Foundation, is that right? There's a lot of traffic going to be down there, so there is some relation.
where is it?
It's going to be at Keizer Rapids Park.
Oh, okay.
And so it's connected to Keizer Fest, so it's in the same park.
It's an auxiliary event of the
Thank you.
Keizer.
Here you go.
The Keizer Chamber of Commerce. And this year, we have all kinds of entertainment because Keizer Homegrown Theater, McNary, and then we have some independent folks as well. We're going to have 2 little mini stages, and we will have ongoing entertainment all 3 days. It's going to be killer.
Just to add to that, working with the JROTC program on the graffiti abatement, we're going to try to get over and help in the park so these events won't have a lot of graffiti for us.
Thank you. So I have a question for Mike, and you might have said this and I've just forgotten. With the delayed light, for crossing, that's on River Road? Is it on Cherry?
I was told one spot because it'd be right there at San Market Way. It's the only traffic signal we have on Cherry. And a couple weeks ago, I spoke with the engineer and he asked if we wanted to add it. And I said, yeah, perfect. So is it been added yet? I assume he did it. It's a pretty quick change just to do. I haven't tried it myself. I'm assuming it is done.
Okay. And when you say you're at an intersection on River Road, do they work for both ways, whether you're crossing River Road or crossing the
Just the main thoroughfare, so it'd be east to west. Not the side streets.
But we'll see how successful it is. I think it's probably successful. I mean, it's probably,
Well, and as I spoke last time, I haven't heard either way. So I haven't heard
Right.
like, oh, we used it and it was great, or what's going on? And that'd be from pedestrians and of course,
Yeah.
traffic cars driving it saying, how come I had to wait longer here? So.
I was thinking maybe adding it, if we can get it eventually added to like where Chamawa and Dearborn, those streets where people are gonna be crossing parallel with River Road.
No, the recommendation is Salem says no.
Really?
It's gonna, too much weight for traffic, and I didn't quite understand, I can put you with Eric Decibel, the city Salem engineer, but there was a reason being why you just wanna do the main, and then people crossing north and south because of how it affects cars coming in each lane. The weight is too long, it has to cycle all the way through again, just how it's set up. And so we don't oversee that, and they maintain that, so
Right.
I just said, oh, that's interesting. Okay, with his advice.
Okay. All right, that's all I had. Brenda? Do you have any? Matt talked, yeah.
Oh, yeah, me. So I just want to verify Keizer Fest is coming up, and it's these dates, May 16th through the 18th. And we don't have any specific duties over Keizer Fest.
We sure could give you some.
No, I just want, because Keizer Fest is where I believe I met Dave one year when I wanted to volunteer. He was sitting in a booth, but I was just curious. I'm okay with not volunteering. I just wanted to know.
Have we had a table? We've had a
Do the
table.
volunteers, the
No,
volunteer committee have a table, maybe? That's what we need, right? I mean, we don't need to be there, but if the volunteer committee for Keizer had a booth or table, that would be the right group.
In the past,
The city had a table,
a table
That's
for
what I'm talking
the,
about.
all the committees.
well, a long time ago it was Bikeways, and then it was
Yeah.
anyway.
We don't,
And, the last two times, my experience was we got, in terms of giving helmets away and so on, were lousy. I mean, we just,
yeah, I'm not
nobody was
saying,
interested.
I'm
And
not
so
saying should
we
be-
quit doing it,
I
since I have all the helmets.
Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah, sounds like we'll,
But there's an opportunity, in June for Public Works Day also, that we could possibly have at least safety information out.
What about soggy
Day in a park?
Yeah.
soggy
No.
day in the park?
Oh, there is that, but then Public Works, our Public Works Fair is May 18th, so.
When is soggy day?
I
don't
thought
know.
it was June.
And
No,
Oh, maybe it's
May
June
18th.
18th, June 18th, you got it, I'm sorry.
what?
soggy day.
it's June 18th for
What?
the Public Works.
And
But-
soggy day is May? And what's the difference? Who sponsors, oh, I know, Claggett Creek Watershed.
Shed, right.
Okay.
But, Public Works is probably a good one to have at least some safety information out on. One other one that, is coming up is, Earth Day celebration at Spons Landing on
Oh,
April
right, right,
26th.
that was
Marion County is putting that on, Marion County Environmental at Spons Landing, and they will have all sorts of tables. City of Keizer Environmental will have a table there. They're already partnering with Marion County. And so there'll be activities for kids and people. I think they worked with Robert at the park, so at Keizer Rapids, so people could park there and be shuttled. Because Spons doesn't have a lot of parking. Yeah. And Mary Ann and I'll be leading a bike ride from Keizer Rapids to Spons for people, too.
Y'all done?
I'm all done.
David?
Let me just start with a quick comment. The Public Works Day, if we had a table or presence there, it might be a time too to solicit just public input, just as to, if they had concerns about streets or compliments or anything. Anyway.
One year I ran off a half sheet, guy, whatever, didn't say complaints, but basically comments about traffic, bicycles, scooters, safety in Keizer, speed limit, whatever. And had that handed out in a bunch of pencils. And we got, I don't know, 10, 15 responses.
Anyway, the main thing I wanted to cover was two items. One is on April 27th, this coming week from Sunday. Starting and ending at McNary is our 49th Monster Cookie Ride. And started 49 years ago, I think, by Hirsch and his family. So now, this year, there'll be 3 routes. The full cookie is 63.8 miles, is a loop essentially to the east, Silverton, Mount Angel, Monitor, and back. The half cookie goes to the Willamette Pie Company on 82nd and back. And those two start at 8 o'clock in the morning, again from McNary. And I don't know the count, but I'm guessing there'll be about 500 riders. And then at 10 o'clock, there'll be a mini cookie ride, which is just 6 miles in the neighborhood and is a family ride. And it'll turn down, go again, start at McNary, go through, loops into Keizer Rapids Park, and then comes out and goes up and loops through the neighborhood again, and for a total of about 6 miles. And Officer Powell, I can give you the routes for both if you're interested.
I think I got it through the county.
Okay.
Somebody was forwarded it on to me.
Good. The second thing I wanted to cover was on April 11th, we had the second meeting. The first was about a year ago with the city of Salem primarily the Public Works Department and bike advocates, looking at cycling and pedestrian infrastructure kind of in the Salem area. And it's been an effort to try and work between both the city and the bike community in Salem to improve biking in the Salem area. There were a couple things from that meeting that particularly kind of caught my ear. One was that Salem is expecting to install around 3,600 new speed signs around town as they drop the residential speed limit from 25 to 20. And it also will involve, I think, working the lights downtown. My understanding is that the downtown streets probably will drop to 20. Just don't quote me on that, but from the comment there. My understanding is that they're waiting for a conclusion of an environmental study, but that it looks like that's in the works and going to be coming probably 2026. I talked to the person who was dealing with that just about what was required with the change, and he indicated that for residential streets going from 25 to 20 is relatively simple. You don't need engineering studies, you don't need speed studies. That it was, he made it sound like it was pretty easy, and so in my mind, it is an opportunity potentially for addressing some of the issues on Verda between Lock Haven and Chamawa, and also potentially on Meadow, Park Meadow, both of which we've had a lot of concerns about. And it means too that the kind of more the enforceable speed then becomes 30 as opposed to 35, and that's pretty huge in those areas. He said that it's much more complex and difficult to drop speeds on roads that are 35, 40, above 25 miles an hour. Then you do need speed studies and a lot of work. The second thing that caught my attention was simply that and on this again, I'm not the expert in this area, but there's been a lot of regional scenario planning and work between Salem, Marion County, and Keizer. That it was developing kind of a scenario, regional, kind of almost a goal, a scenario plan for the future, somewhat under the title of Salem in Motion, Connecting in Peoples and Places. A couple of the things there that caught my ear. One was that the preferred scenario calls for reducing driving per capita by 30% by 2050. So miles driven per individual or so would be dropped by 30%. And an increase in active transportation, which would be everything from bicycles, skateboards, walking, an increase of fourfold by 2050. So anyway, and certainly part of the plan there was to have measurable items that could be tracked to see what your progress is in getting those. I happened to look at the website for the Salem in Motion thing, and I saw that the Keizer representative was Bill Lawyer, which at this meeting, which was all Salem Public Works, there was a transportation planning manager, there was a traffic engineer. Anyway, the staff was significantly bigger than our staff in Keizer. So Bill Lawyer was wearing many hats. I would say from the meeting, the biggest ask from kind of the biking community and Salem seemed pretty receptive, was basically more protected routes for cyclists and pedestrians and things to be able to get safely to all different parts of the city. Secure bike parking, recognizing that really to increase biking use to businesses and things, people need some secure way to leave bikes. And current bikes are costing thousands of dollars that, they're comparable to, in some cases, to cars. And improved maintenance for the existing bike infrastructure. And that was a lot of issues related to glass and debris and so really cleaning kind of things. That's all I have.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, staff report, Mike?
All right, we're reviewing bids right now for replacing a stormwater pipe that outfalls to the Bish Ditch. And along with that, we're also reviewing bids that came in today for this summer's resurfacing project. So looking at those to get those taken care of this summer. Second thing I have here is, we had the dip heading westbound on Lock Haven North, which would be across from McNary High School where the baseball fields. A dip has been forming. I don't know if you guys have noticed it, but we had it dug up and taken care of today. And that happens to be over City of Salem 74-inch sewer main. And they came out and did a dye test and found there were no issues on their end. And so basically we dug it up and I thought maybe we'd find the soil soft and squishy and have to dig it out and recompact it. And we took a full dump truck over it and it was rock solid. So ended up putting it back. And we'll see. It's slowly just been getting lower. And yeah, so I'm hopeful see if we'd be back there or not. So that's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike, I noticed recently, like yesterday, surveyors out on Verda between Chemawa and Dearborn. Is there something planned there that?
Yeah, Verda Lane improvements will go from Dearborn to the Parkway coming up here, stem, I think not this coming fall, but the next fall, just because of how things.
Spring next year.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought that went from Dearborn to the Parkway. This was from Dearborn to Chemawa that the surveying was being done.
Maybe they were just set back viewing farther to the south there to catch something. I don't know. I didn't see that, so sorry.
Officer Bell?
Yeah, I'll speak briefly. I mean, obviously, we've heard a lot about, in the last couple of months, about the speeding on Verda. I just want to go through and kind of what I created in like 5 minutes of what I could think of different speeding complaints. So we don't have that Verda is the only speed problem. I'm dealing with speeding on, and obviously I want the other public to know that I'm taking their complaints and still dealing with that. Yet when Verda is like, why am I not always there? So, okay. So I have speeding on Harmony, speeding on down on the west end of Chemawa, obviously Verda, Dearborn speeding, O'Neill, McLeod, and Windsor Island. So those are just speed. And then I have the school bus violations throughout the city, and that all happens at about 2:30 to 3:30.
Brad,
Huh?
our violations, not school.
No, school, people going past school buses.
That's what I mean, it's not the bus.
No, the violation of going past the school bus.
Right.
And then obviously the Newburgh U-turns is still ongoing. I can still go there every day of the week, other than Wednesday during a late start, from there at Lock Haven. Like Ms. Navarro said, all the parking complaints on every school. It's not just her school, it's every school. And then the stop sign, well, this is the one that recently, it was a stop sign at 14th and Mandarin. So all those require time that I can't be at everywhere all at the same time or in that particular neighborhood the entire shift. So there's a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you.
Yes.
We'd like to clone you, but that's probably not possible.
Well, it might be possible.
Give us time.
We can't afford it.
See this.
All right, council liaison report.
So, thank you so much. So I'm really glad that Shani asked me to fill in for her because it's really interesting to hear all this. What I wanted to ask you about, I wanted to, first of all, make a comment. When you talk about reducing the speeds on all of the neighborhood streets from 25 to 20, something you might want to consider rather than doing it wholesale to all of the neighborhood streets, even when there's not a problem on some of the streets, is maybe identifying like a high impact corridors, as Officer Powell said, I don't know that you're gonna get pushback, I don't know. But that might be a way to mitigate that if you identified the high-impact corridors, Verda, Harmony, Shamawa, Windsor Island, Dearborn, Newburgh, and said, we're gonna start there and see if this makes a significant difference and prove your theory. I think that might be an idea you might want to consider. The other thing I wanted to mention to you, have you started to hear about e-bike injuries and children? Okay, so here's the stats. In 2017, there were 751 e-bike injuries with children. In 2017, 700.
Nationwide or statewide?
Nationwide, 751. 2022, there were 23,500. 2023, there were 34,200. So it's a real issue. And I'm not saying you need to do anything about it. I just am making you, I know this because of my 13-year-old grandson, who is insistent upon wanting to have an e-bike to ride to high school. And, you know, you look at these statistics and there's a number of different things. Injury types result in internal injuries, fractures, head trauma, motor vehicle involvement. 35% of the e-bike injuries involve going in, they're basically little motorcycles. They're basically little, and these e-bikes, the one that my grandson wants, it goes 40 miles an hour.
It's illegal in Oregon.
It is?
Yes.
Oh, I did not know this. So no e-bikes anywhere in Oregon?
No.
Not ones that go 40 miles an hour.
No. How fast can they go? 20, okay. 20's pretty fast.
And they have to be 16.
Good. That'll help.
I'll give you 3 years.
Yeah.
100%, 100%, officer. This is in California. He's in California.
but-
And all of those kids are on those dang e-bikes and they're moving. So I just wanted to say, if that's not on your radar, it's probably coming onto your radar because they just are getting more and more popular with the kids. It's that sandwich where they can't drive a car yet, but they can drive these bikes.
And just offhand, the same idea, I'm more concerned about the scooters than I was the e-bikes. Because I almost caught a kid, I hit a kid the other day coming out of a driveway on a scooter. I don't know how fast he was going. It's just way too fast.
Yeah, they go fast.
E-bikes, as Officer Powell and I worked on, you have to be careful which ones you buy because there are definitely illegal ones. It's not illegal to sell them because Amazon's selling, but they're technically illegal in Oregon till the legislature changes the rules, which they might this session, but it's not there yet. But the other area, you mentioned children, the injury accidents for adults is way up too.
Oh, yeah,
A lot
because they're
of
more
the,
popular.
I haven't ridden a bike in years. Now I got this e-bike and there's injury accidents. The only thing I really, truly recommend to people ask me is if you're going to get an e-bike, make sure it's fitted to you. Make sure, I recommend e-bike assist ones. That way you're still riding a bike and whatever. And the protective gear, helmets. And people within Keizer, I know David and I, if an adult comes and says, I really need a helmet, we'll fit it. And so.
It's like we recommend, I've been recommending to all parents to ride with your kids. And therefore you need a helmet. And I know where you can get a really good cheap bike.
Because it looks so silly to see all these kids riding behind their parents and they all have helmets and mom and dad aren't.
Right.
So,
Learn by example.
To the thing about the speed limit thing, one thing I've mentioned before is expanding the school zone speed.
Smart.
And I think that should be a simple fix, but
And I think folks would really support that. You know, even if that's where you start. You know, every time we have an idea, we're not sure how the public's going to like it, we always call it a pilot project.
Right.
We don't know. And I think a pilot project gives you a lot more grace and a lot more flexibility with trying to figure out what the right answers are.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, thank you all. It looks like our next member reporting to council will be David. Are you able to do that?
I think so.
Okay. And our next meeting is May 22nd, just after the Riverwalk. And that being said, I think we will adjourn the meeting.